exploring.
We had a question for you all, pastors, from a Facebook Live. So I wanted to ask you, they said, do you have any rituals around communication that work for the marriage, such as like not going to bed angry or going a day without speaking? Anything you can help couples?
I can tell you one thing that the first thing that comes to mind is every morning before we start our day, we come together and pray. So even if there is some kind of tension, some kind of anger, something going on, we have to stop and at least touch base and pray. Something about that touch base and pray makes us have to look at each other and realize each other. That's the first thing that comes to my mind is every day. We don't go into a religious prayer, but we do touch base and just say a prayer over each other and over our home, our family, and some basic needs, in addition to our private prayers that we do privately amongst ourselves.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Anything came to my mind.
Okay. All right. I wanted to say, first of all, I commend you all for the counseling piece. I'm a licensed counselor, so I'm all about counseling, right? So and in the past, we have not mixed Christianity with counseling for various reasons. We always gone to the I'll go to the pastor and he'll pray for me. I'll go to the pastor, he'll minister me or counsel me. And a lot of times they were not equipped to handle all of the problems that people had because they hadn't been maybe educated in that area. So I want to first commend you for that and thank you for teaching your flock that, yes, God provides and he give us resources in the world to use to help, tackle the tools that we need in order to get the message that we need to get to the kingdom. So I appreciate that.
Amen. Amen.
Absolutely, Kate. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a great point, Kay, with that, because no, we wouldn't have survived. As pastors, we would not have survived if we did not go for counseling. We wouldn't have made it. So that's how vital that counseling is. And you can't counsel your own selves,
True. True.
And let me just say this for the male side of the issues here. It's very hard for, I don't know why, sometimes the wives are more willing to go to counseling than the men are. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was a blow to my ego, I'll tell you, to kind of humble yourself and say, okay, pastor doesn't have all the answers. And we definitely need to seek out. And thank God, God led us to a wonderful, qualified counselor. And that's the things you want to do. You want to check out the background of a counselor. And you hit it on the head, Kay. A lot of times pastors are not qualified to do the counseling. They can counsel you spiritually. They can give you scriptures. But you know what? The Bible, and to a degree, the Bible doesn't give you a lot of commentary on how to handle your marriage. Let's get real. There's not a lot in the Bible. It's not a manual, ABCD, of how to have a successful marriage. There's some scriptural basis for it. But when you hit the reality of you got to, and this didn't happen in our family, thank God, but I've dealt with enough. When you have a teenager on drugs, when you have a situation that has come up in your marriage, how to handle it in the 21st century.
Yes.
I mean, back in the day, what happened back when couples had troubles out there, and somebody got stoned, and I'm not talking about drugs.
You talking the real stuff.
A lot of the historical things that they did in that time to the 21st century. So it's vital, and I believe, here's my belief, that couples, no matter, even if you have the most excellent marriage on earth, I believe you need to go to a marriage conference once or twice a year.
Amen.
I believe you need to check in with a counselor, even if you have the greatest marriage on earth, 3 to 4 months quarterly through a year, and just to make sure everything is good, because sometimes, as we know, we hold things inside. And that was part of the issues here with getting Lisa to open up and speak to me more and communicate to me more, because she is the type of person, and I think maybe it's a virtue of a woman or what a woman does. I think one person said men are like microwave ovens and women are like crock pots. They boil the thing a while, and they work on that thing a while because they're the receivers. They carry for 9 months.
That's good.
They go over things in their spirit more than a man would.
Yes.
When a man wakes up in the morning, he forgot all about that argument you had last night, and he's ready to go. Okay, man, let's go. What are we doing today? Let's go to the sports event. Let's go to the movies. Meanwhile, she's got that resentment that we haven't addressed the issues, and she's going to harbor that for a while until it's resolved.
Maybe it's not so much harbor, but I guess the way I work is I'm still trying to figure out how valid something is. So even though you don't want to go to bed angry, I don't want to go to bed having started a new argument because maybe I didn't get a chance to think out my feelings.
Yeah.
Hey, am I overreacting? Is it the hormonal time of the month that's upset? There's a lot
Yes.
of things that I
Right.
need to consider when I'm upset. So I might wake up and I'm still trying to figure out what happened. Because that's what happens, is that we try to figure out what happened, because the most thing I want to do is seem rational. The last thing I want to do is seem like I'm flying off the wall for nothing.
Right.
But it
Right.
sometimes takes me too long. My reaction time is too slow, which actually drags out the issue, you know?
Good point.
That is
Good
good.
point.
That's
Yes.
a great point. Now, I do want to kind of get into the fact that I know at your ministry, you all have a really good marriage ministry. So I know that you have a lot of couples that you're, dealing with different issues that come to you for advice. And so we have, one of the questions that they ask is that, what advice would you give to a couple who are dealing with infidelity and want to stay in the marriage?
I want to stay in the marriage and are dealing with infidelity. Well, that definitely seek out. I would say definitely seek out a counselor. That definitely needs a counselor, somebody that can counsel them through the steps and the thought processes. We've ministered to a lot of couples throughout our 17 years together. And there are times when we've had to refer even to our family counselors. We were blessed down here in South Florida to find a Christian counselor. He is I forget all the degrees behind him. He was Christ-centered. So it made it very easy for us, and we thank God that we were able to refer some folks over to him that were dealing with such an issue, but that wanted to try to keep that marriage together.
Right.
And that's the first thing I would think is, making sure that that they are in touch with their pastor, and also that they have a qualified counselor that they don't break appointments with. You gotta, sometimes you have to make that schedule and keep that schedule. As soon as somebody starts skipping their counseling appointments, things aren't going to go well. You got to keep those appointments until you feel that series of sessions has some kind of resolve to them.
I'm gonna make y'all the poster child for me. Can y'all be the poster child for my business? I mean, you hit it on the nail.
You got to keep the appointment.
First of all, for that couple that gave that question, first of all, I want to say, don't lose hope.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Right.
God can pour that healing oil into your marriage, and that's, of course, keeping Christ centered.
Yes.
You're not going to survive without God being center of that. You have to put Christ in the center of this. And then, of course, it's going to go through that counseling process of, first of all, realize your marriage is at zero trust account. I mean, there's nothing there. And you have to build that trust account back.
Right.
So, and I won't spend too long on this, but then it's just like, and I would suggest everybody to watch that movie. It's still available, that movie Fireproof.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Very good
It helped
movie.
us tremendously when, when the intimacy was cut off, when the communication was cut off, and there was nothing there. There was nothing there. That movie prepared me for rejection, okay? And you got to understand, when you have zero trust account, you have 100% rejection.
Yes.
And you have to understand that you're going to go through some rejection. Don't be fooled and naive, almost like I was, to feel like you're not going to go through some seasons of rejection here when you're walking through some heavily damaged areas of your marriage.
Amen.
So therefore, you know what you got to do is you just got to do like the Fireproof movie did. look, I don't know how it's gonna go, but you know what, I'm gonna buy her some flowers. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna write her a nice card.
Amen.
I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna tell her I love her, and I'm gonna hug her, and she might push me away, which she did. She did. We went through a time where it was both, she pushed me away. She didn't believe me, and there was times I hurt her deeply, and some
Yes.
things I've said, some things she said. We went through, I don't know that stuff, man. I've met a marriage couple and who was married for 30, 40 years, and they told me they never had a harsh word to each other in their whole marriage. Now, I can't fathom that.
Right,
Because I'm
right.
nowhere like that.
Right, right.
We're getting there. But it wasn't like that, But so you have to understand, in this time of healing process, I would get spiritually with your pastors. Make sure you're in a church and going to church as a family. Have that prayer time. Like we said, we don't drag out a long ceremonial prayer when we have that. There's not one day that goes by in our marriage, no matter how mad we were at each other, we didn't have that at least a 2-minute prayer in the morning with each other.
Amen.
That will get
Amen.
you. That will get you through.
Right.
And I'll conclude because I know on that question, but it's such a vital point that viewer or listener brought up with this. But now you have to realize with the zero trust account, there's going to be rejection going on. You're going to reach out and your hand will get pushed back. You're going to say something and there's going to be no response. You have to be willing. Somebody in the marriage has to be willing. I don't agree it's always 50-50. A lot of people say, well, marriage is 50-50, and I don't believe that. Sometimes it's 100-0.
Right.
Sometimes I make that first move to say, I'm sorry.
Amen.
She's made that move plenty of times to say, I'm sorry. Somebody has to make that first move and make a determination. You might go lay on your prayer. I went and laid on my prayer floor and cried my eyes out. I'm sure she did the same. When I would try to make a move to restore the marriage and I would get rejected, I had to go cry to God. I had to go throw a book against the wall. I had to go slam the door when she wasn't home,
Right.
and say, I'm done with this, But there is hope, there is healing, and if you'll begin that road of forgiveness to each other, there is a way to come out and have a victorious, wonderful marriage.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And I definitely want to encourage the couple too. You can overcome infidelity. My husband and I have been very transparent in our marriage, and not putting everything out there, whatever the case may be. But survival of infidelity is definitely something that requires patience, and that is on both sides. Because in the event that you do try to like you said, there are going to be times when whoever was the one that did the hurt, they're going to have to be willing to go through whatever it takes to rebuild. Is it doable? Yes, it is. And I think that the first thing is to, if both parties open up about what their issues are, because there's a root cause to everything. I don't think people sometimes just wake up one day and, hey, I'm a cheater,
Right.
There are things and things that have taken place and evolved, and sometimes you get to a point where you take each other for granted so much. Timing and positioning is everything. If it's like that in business, guess what? It's like that in devilment too, okay? So it could be you could have had a whole season of lack of communication with your spouse, and then one guy come along and say, oh my God, you are it, or one chick comes along and says, hey, you are the end all to be all, and every time you go to your house you feel insignificant. And I don't condone that, but what I try to remind people is we're human, and you definitely want to get to a point in your marriage where that is why communication is so important, and when you're transparent. And I really feel like if you honestly take the approach, you do the counseling, you put in the hard work, just like Fireproof. Listen, he was trying everything. I think they gave him, 40 days?
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
40
The
days,
love
40
language.
nights. He
He
had
did
to
the
do
love
something
language.
every day. But ultimately, it won her over, and at the end, it made them even better than they were before. So if you look to the end result, like, hey, we're in the zone right now, but ultimately it'll end beautiful, then you can be encouraged. So I just want to encourage the couple, if that is what you're going through, just know that if you're both willing to put in the work, it can work.
We'll be right
Yes,
back.
yes.
We're gonna take a really quick break. We'll be right back, okay? Hot Wife, Hot Life, 108 Praise Radio.
You guys, fantastic. That was awesome.
Yes.
Awesome advice.
I'm telling you,
Thank
I'm like,
you.
I need to put y'all on a poster and put those comments under there and sell it. I'm telling you, people, you know when it gets hard, they stop, or when they feel like they have a break.